I am back. This video contains mature subject matter recommended for viewers over 18 only. Thank you, the Neon Wrangler. It's good to be back, y'all. And today we're going to talk about those childhood myths that terrorized us so badly when we were young. And the one I'm going to start with, we're going to get right into it. I like to get right into it. Is the legend of Bloody Mary. Now, Bloody Mary is a ghost that you could summon, and even in your own house. And the way you do that is you'd find a room that had a mirror and completely darken that room so it was pitch black. You couldn't see anything. And you'd bring a small light source with you, maybe a candle or something along those lines. And you'd stare into the mirror and you'd chant Bloody Mary 3 times. Now, the way I heard the myth, it was you would chant it 3 times, and or some people say it's 5, or the number could be different, but eventually you slowly start to see her appear, and she appears to be the bloody visage of a woman who's coming towards you in the mirror slowly, and you're locked. Your gazes are locked, and as she comes closer and closer, you see that she's bloody. Her face is bloody, her clothes are bloody, and all of that. And the way I heard the myth is that if you were bad, now remember we were kids, if you were bad, she could come out of the mirror and she had terrible claws and she would scratch you, scratch your eyes out, scratch you to pieces, and terrorize you that way, and maybe even take you out. But if you were good, maybe she'd do something good for you. But it was a very creepy legend, and what we I don't believe any of us when I said what we none of us tried it when I was a kid. I don't remember anybody being brave enough to try this, but I do remember being a little, part of a group of littler kids when some of the big kids came along and told us the story for the first time. Now, the big kids went into detail about how gruesome she was, and some of them said they had seen her and all that kind of thing. Well, needless to say, it scared the living hell out of us, pardon my language, for quite a while. I know there was a good 2 weeks in my childhood where even in broad daylight outside, we'd huddle by a tree and discuss Bloody Mary and talk about how we would, wouldn't go into the bathroom at night. We wouldn't, get out of our beds at night. We'd go beforehand or whatever, and you were afraid that she might come through your bedroom window or your bathroom window. And in our case, you're supposed to summon her in the bathroom for some reason. I guess that's the easiest room to make it dark. But that terrorized us for weeks. And I remember the going outside to play and all that, and just feeling the oppressive terror of Bloody Mary, resting over us now. Like I said, none of us ever tried it. None of us ever died. None of us any of that ever happened. But it walked that fine line between terror and fun that, everybody seems to love. That's why we watch horror movies. A couple of explanations for this. Well, one, it could be a ghost that you could summon. I'm not going to recommend you try it. Don't try this at home. The other thing is our brain has the ability to make faces and shapes out of things under different circumstances, like at night or lighting. And you've all experienced this, like you're out in the woods and a pile of wood could look at a tree stump or something could look like a bear, or the way the leaves and the branches in a tree look like a jaguar or something like that. That could kill you basically. And that was a survival mechanism. Our brain would put these things together to help us survive. Now, sometimes they were false, sometimes they were true, but better brain figures better safe than sorry. So it could make something for us, and we still do that to this day. You see faces in clouds, you see faces in trees and stuff like that. The thing with the Bloody Mary incident is when you do that kind of deprivation to your senses, your mind will start to create things that you see. And in the psychic world, okay, that's the scientific world. In the psychic world, what you're doing is building what they call a psychomantium, a device to talk to the dead, which is exactly that, a darkened room with an indirect, very low light source, and you stare into a mirror, and supposedly one of your loved ones will appear, or somebody that you knew, or somebody that you summoned, and you'll be able to communicate with them through the psychomantium. Now, those are two sides of the coin. Both are very interesting, to tell you the truth. I've never tried building a psychomantium, but I've been out in the woods a lot and I've been scared by various things, and we all do to this day. Sometimes we make faces and shapes and things out of things. But anyway, I just remember to this day, no matter how old I get, the fear that Bloody Mary spread through our neighborhood. Now, the next story I want to tell you is one that I heard about 35 years ago on the radio. I say 35, maybe a long time ago, long before y'all were born. I tell you what, you kids got to get off my lawn. I heard this on the Art Bell Show, which is now known as the Coast to Coast AM show, and you can review the history of that show. It's been the leading paranormal show for uh, decades, created by one man in his house by himself that grew to be this empire. So this story I heard, somebody actually called in and told this story, and it has stuck with me since then. It was about a couple, and they had a little girl, and she was about 5 years old, and they put her in the bathtub to play, and they would, like good parents, they'd stand outside the door to listen to make sure there was no, she wasn't getting hurt or anything, or falling under the water or anything dangerous like that, and then they listen to her play with her toys and giggle and all that kind of thing, like parents are prone to do. And eventually she got herself a little imaginary friend that she would talk to in the tub, talk about her Barbies and swimming in the bubbles and giggling like little girls do. And this went on, and the parents would stand out there and listen. They loved listening to their little girl play, and they'd get a good kick out of it. And one day she just basically stopped playing with the imaginary friend. And a few days after that, the parents asked her, "Well, where is your imaginary friend? What happened to him?" She goes, "Oh, he went on vacation." So they figured, all right, he went on vacation, and so they didn't think, they just thought it was cute. Your imaginary friend's going on vacation. Well, they was still, when she had her bath, to be safe, they'd be, one or two of them would be standing out there listening. And then the day comes, she starts talking to the imaginary friend again. And she's giggling and doing the same thing she always did. And she finally says to the imaginary friend, she says, "How was your vacation?" And they hear a voice come out of the bathroom that says, "Oh, it was wonderful." They heard this deep, thunderous voice come right out of the bathroom where their daughter was. Terrified and going into fight or flight mode, they went in there and they didn't see a thing. Now, what's so incredibly creepy about this story is, providing it's true, either, yes, there was a ghost, an imaginary friend, or some kind of creature that was talking to her that they couldn't see, and it answered her in that voice. Or the little girl made the voice herself, which might even be creepier. A little girl with a deep, deep male voice saying, "Oh, it was wonderful." That scared the shit out of them. And here's a picture of, I guess, a picture of mom hearing the voice here. It's one that I found to nail home the point. But either way you flip that coin, it's creepy. It's a creepy story, and it has stuck with me to this day. It's one I've not forgotten. I've heard hundreds and creepy pastas and thousands of ghost stories and all that throughout the years over the radio and the internet. But this one stands out. So take a deep breath. We're going to do the last one, and I promise you'll be able to sleep tonight. So this family goes for vacation, the whole family this time, and they go down to South America or someplace like that. And in their little travels, they find a doggy. They find a cute little, they find a mangy, fluffy dog that seems to want to follow the family around everywhere. It starts playing with them and playing with the kids, and they really begin to love this little dog, and they decided they're going to sneak him back home. Well, they do sneak him back home, and they have him at home for a few days, and they the little guy is playful and eating the food and playing with the kids, sometimes sleeping with the kids in their beds, and trolling around the house like dogs do. And they had made a vet appointment for the dog to get him all checked out and all that. So they go and they drop the dog off at the vet and they leave. And a few hours later, the vet calls and says, "I got some news for you." And they're like, "Yeah, what is it? Is the dog okay?" Fluffy or whatever they named him. He goes, "It is not a dog. It was a rat." After they cleaned up the dog and got him all taken care of, they discovered that he was a big, big rat that looked like a dog. We I've heard that story probably 20 or 30 times over the years, hearing that one. But anyway, I'm sure you've probably heard that one too. But yes, the South American pet, you bring it home, and the wonderful little dog becomes the mangy rodent. And I don't think they kept him. If I don't remember if they even said that in any versions of the story I've heard. But these are some of the fun stories you'd hear as a kid, and some of them were absolutely terrifying. I remember the Bloody Mary thing keeping me awake for more nights than it should. Some of the other ones, you had the guy with the hook for the hand, and that would supposedly, come after the couple, and the hook, this guy with the hook for his hand would attack him and leave his hook stuck in the car. Or the woman that saw the man with the back, she didn't see him, but the woman who'd been driving around with a man who had an axe in her back seat, and he was laying down in her back seat, and she didn't see him, and she'd been driving around all evening with him back there and didn't know it. All these kind of stories. There's tons of these great urban myths we told as a kid. Sometimes we tell them as adults sitting around. But anyway, that's going to basically wrap it up. And what I want to hear is if you guys have any things to add to any of these stories, maybe the versions you've heard would be cool. Also, if you've got any new ones, just, mention them in the comments. I love to get the comments. I try to answer every single one of them, and we can have some more fun with that. I'm sure we'll be revisiting urban myths and legends again soon. But if you enjoy it, like and subscribe and comment, and we've got some links below in the description to help out. But I appreciate you being here, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will probably not be gone as long next time. In fact, I plan on doing another one here in a couple of days. Take care.